this is a style of filmmaking I hadn't seen until just a few years ago when a certain YouTuber whose name rhymes with leader bed linen really started to make it popular. It's almost like the B-roll exists in another world entirely. So today, I learned how to shoot B-roll like Peter McKinnon. Now, this is something that Pete has talked about a whole bunch in his videos. And I like to think of filmmaking kind of as like magic tricks. It's one thing to see how something is done, but it's another thing entirely to actually be able to do it yourself. I'm sure old Pete didn't just one day suddenly become the king of B-roll. It takes practice. So I want to learn how to do that to become the filmmaker that I want to be. Now, first off, old Pete uses a Canon 1DX Mark II, which goes for around 4,000 of these bad boys. For my non-Canadian friends, that's $8,000. No matter what you call it, I don't have $8,000, but I do have a Blackmagic Pocket 4K, which runs for about a quarter the price, so I'll go with what I got. Now, the main trade-off here between cameras is that I don't have autofocus. And for me, that's actually not much of a big deal. I like to have a little bit more control, and I typically shoot with cinema lenses, so it gives me quite a bit of play to get things in and out of focus and have a little bit of fun with it. Since I'm gonna be shooting handheld, 120 frames a second is a must to really cut down on those micro jitters, and without any image stabilization, it's quite unforgiving. One of the big learning curves was figuring out my stance. So I kind of got in a sumo, moving from the hips, really helped me stabilize my image a little bit while keeping at least 2 points of contact on the camera. I also learned in doing this that it's really important to have foreground elements because it makes the motion feel that much larger, and it just gives you some layers to play with so that when you really crank up your depth of field with like an ND filter on front, it really lets you play with that and make the tiniest motion seem gigantic, which is great. After getting our shots, it's time to jump into post. Now, Peter uses Premiere, and that was actually my preferred NLE for the past years, but about a year ago, I switched over to Resolve, and it's been great. What I love about it is that for about 95% of what I'm gonna do today, you can do in the free version of Resolve, so you don't have to pay a penny. And then if you wanna get the studio version, it's one-time fee. You're not paying month after month after month. It's a one-time fee, and it ends up being way cheaper than Premiere. And for me, it's actually just worked better. So anyway, let's jump into Resolve. So here's our shot straight out of camera. Now, I shoot everything in Blackmagic RAW, which basically lets me adjust my ISO, color temperature, and a couple other settings, which is great in a 10-bit file. It's pretty highly compressed, which is awesome. So now I'm just gonna adjust my color temperature here just to give it a little bit warmer of a look. So we're just gonna bump that a little bit. Now, one thing I wanna do is really bump up the saturation. So in this instance, I'm gonna do that in my gamma controls within my RAW controls here. So I'm just gonna bump this up a little bit. Now that we're happy with those little bumps, let's move on to my grade. I'm gonna start off by adding some contrast here in my curves by just making the dark parts darker and the bright parts brighter with a simple S curve, and you can see the before and the after. Now let's just watch the clip through real quick just to see if we notice anything odd here. Okay, it looks good. Actually, did you notice that? Let's watch it one more time, see if you notice this. Okay, yeah, it looks good to me. And did you notice anything odd? If you didn't notice that I'm actually using stabilization right now, that's just a testament to how good the stabilization is in Resolve. So I'll show you the unstabilized clip. It's quite shaky coming up as I was kind of low down to the ground. So, and this is with stabilization on. So, yeah, it makes a huge difference and just way smoother and totally free. Awesome. So now in our second node, I really want to accentuate these kind of gritty textures, this kind of crunchy look. So a way that I can kind of make the cracked rubber pop out is I'm going to increase the mid-tone detail quite a bit. And you can just see the difference here. So I'm just going to turn that off and then on again. You can see a huge difference there just by bumping up my mid-tone detail like crazy. Next, we're gonna introduce a bit of an orange and a teal color grade, and you can see that there. I just bring my shadows into the blue a little bit, my midtones into the orange, and this is just one of the many ways to achieve this look, but This is the one I chose for this particular video. And you can see that off and then on again. Now we do have one problem that you can actually notice on our scopes is that our black values are not coming up black anymore because of this adjustment. So I'm gonna show you one way that we can fix that. I'm gonna go into my log controls again, and I'm going to lower my lower range here. I'm gonna drop that down, and you'll see the difference that that makes. So right there, what I'm doing is I'm just bumping the opposite color, and I'm just kind of pushing it around until I'm able to kind of get that to level out, if you see over here. So I'm just trying to get the bottom part to level out, and now you can see the difference of, we kind of have this blue color here, but when we take it out, boom, it's perfectly black. So I've actually seen this done another way where people drop the saturation in the darker parts of the image, and I'm gonna show you how to do that as well. You literally just go into your Luma versus saturation and you drop down the saturation on the darker parts of the image. While this is one way to achieve this look, I'm not sure it's the best method. Totally correct me out there if you think I'm wrong on this one. I just feel like it's kind of a sweep it under the rug method. Sure, it gets the job done, but you're not actually fixing the issue, you're just hiding it more or less. But anyway, that's my take on it. I'd love to hear someone else's opinion, just so I can really learn something more than anything else. But yeah, I would recommend doing it with the log controls. From here, we're just gonna add a simple vignette to really direct the eyes. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna draw a power window, and you can see that there. And basically everything outside of this gray kind of blobby football, we're just making darker by dropping our offset down. So now you can see the before and the after on that. One final thing, I'm just going to reduce some of the noise that you can see here. So we're just cleaning that up a little bit. And you can see it like in these kind of areas, and even just going through, really in the out of focus areas, there's a bit of noise, and I'm just cleaning that up. And boom, just like that, you have that Peter McKinnon kind of travel video style B-roll that's really popular these days. So if you like this content, please consider subscribing and check out some of my other videos. I have a lot more stuff coming like this in the future, and if you want to see anything in particular, just boop, 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 leave some comments down below, and I'll be sure to try and answer those in the future and make a video on them. So anyway, thanks so much for checking out my channel, and you have yourself a great day. Bye. It's like 28 degrees in here and I'm melting.